Hey everybody, we have a super fun Time for Kids activity for you guys today that I'm looking forward to. It's going to be this issue of Time for Kids. It says the Inside the Rise of Graphic Novels on the outside, and then this is the actual article we're going to be reading here in just a minute. It's called Wow, It's a Real Comic Craze. And we've been talking a little bit about graphic novels. We talked about this book, Amulet, in our class meeting a little bit ago, and even in some of our reading groups, we're reading about a guy named Greg and a young lady named Mara and how they're in this comic book business that they started where they're making their own comics. So this is an article about this lady named Raina Telgemeier. And she's writing some graphic novels. I know a lot of you guys have probably read some of these. I got a few of them right here. And it's actually about a little bit about her story of how she came to write graphic novels. And we're going to be doing an activity in it. And don't stress about it. It's this one right here. And it's comic creation. So after you read this article, you're going to get a chance to create your own scene of a comic book. And I'm not a great artist, so I mean, don't stress about it being perfect. Just have fun with it. Just get to sketch something out. Use some colored pencils or crayons if you have them, and just have a good time with it. And follow the instructions, and then just take a picture of it and submit it to Seesaw. So we're actually going to read the article. If you want to just read it on your own, that's totally fine. You can stop this video now and then go ahead and read the article on your own. But if you want to hang out with me and read along as I read it, then feel free, and let's get started. TFK Shay Mons learns about a new wave of graphic novels for kids that's changing the way people think about comics. When Raina Telgemeier was a kid in the 1980s, she fell in love with comics. They were the perfect combination of all the things I liked. Characters and stories and humor and artwork, she told Time for Kids. But she had a problem. A shortage of reading material. Two types of comics were widely available to kids. There were comic books about superheroes, but those weren't her thing. She wanted comics that told stories that could relate to an ordinary kid. And there were newspaper comic strips. Telgemeier loved some of them, especially Calvin and Hobbes, but she wanted more. Around 10, she started drawing her own comics. 23 years later, she published Smile. It's about Telgemeier's middle school experiences with braces and dental surgery. Before Smile was published in 2010, it wasn't clear the book would succeed. People in the publishing industry had doubts. They figured kids wouldn't enjoy a graphic novel about an average girl. They were wrong. Smile became a #1 bestseller since then. Since then, Telgemeier has published several more popular graphic novels. There are more than 18 million copies of her books in print. Telgemeier's success has made a big impact. Industry experts say she paved the way for many more graphic novels for kids. Then and now. Comics have been around since at least the 19th century. Traditional comic books are short. Often, they're about an adventure or superheroes. Comics have the history of either being very funny and silly or having a lot of punching of things. Gina Galeglio says she works on graphic novels at Random House. That's a publishing company. Today's graphic novels are different. Authors use comics to tell a book-length story. It can be any genre. It can be realistic. In 2018, the sales of graphic novels for kids and teens jumped more than 50%, compared to that to sales of printed books across all categories. They increased by about 1%. Real reading. As sales boom, attitudes about comics are changing. This year, New Kid became the first graphic novel to win the Newbery Medal. That's a prestigious award in children's literature. New Kid author Jerry Craft says that when he was a kid, he read mainly comics. He knew some adults didn't approve. In certain schools, if you were reading a comic, they would confiscate it because they thought it was rotting your brain. He says they didn't realize the amount of imagination and storytelling and vocabulary in those comics. New Kid's Newbery shows what many kids already understood. Graphic novels are real books. It's a victory for all graphic novels, Kraft says. Then let's go ahead and read this little comic here. I used to think that graphic novels are all about superheroes until the day, wait a second. Now I realize they can be about anything. Who's she talking to?